Have you ever wondered what exactly makes an action a breach of the fundamental principles our nation was built upon? The ones we often hear about but might not fully understand in practice. Courts define constitutional violations primarily by assessing whether a government action infringes upon a right protected by the Constitution, typically through a specific amendment or clause, and whether that infringement lacks a legitimate governmental justification. The core mechanism involves a multi-layered analysis that begins with identifying a protected right, for instance, freedom of speech under the First Amendment or due process under the Fifth and 14th Amendments. Then, courts examine if a government entity, whether federal, state, or local, has taken an action that burdens or restricts this right. The crucial next step is to determine the level of scrutiny applied to the government's action, which dictates how compelling its justification must be. Levels of scrutiny, like rational basis review, intermediate scrutiny, and strict scrutiny, are judicial standards that guide this evaluation, ensuring that fundamental rights are not easily overridden. Understanding this framework means recognizing that not every perceived injustice rises to the level of a constitutional violation. For someone evaluating a potential claim, it involves looking at whether a state actor was involved, identifying the specific constitutional right at stake, and then considering if the government's reason for its action is strong enough to justify the impact on that right. A fascinating insight is the concept of state action, which is fundamental to most constitutional claims. Generally, the Constitution protects individuals from government overreach, not from actions by private citizens or entities. So, a private company restricting your speech, for example, typically would not be a First Amendment violation, but a government agency doing the same thing might be. This distinction underscores the Constitution's role as a restraint on governmental power. Ultimately, courts define constitutional violations by engaging in a rigorous, structured inquiry into government conduct, ensuring that the protections enshrined in our Constitution remain meaningful and enforceable for all citizens.